this thing, a homemade selfie stick, the production value has significantly increased. So what brings us out here today, you ask? Well, we already discussed Matt's desire to spin everything he owns to like 10,000 RPM. So we got all the good stuff. We got the Brian Tooley Ultimates, got the Brian Tooley Cam, but the push rods that we like to use, that we use on my car, just the good old trusty 5/16 Hardens, are out. But score of a deal on some local comp cams, 3/8 stuff. So you might, what? I don't know, John. I don't think they fit in the stock head. Well, that's where you're wrong. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a trusty 1/2-inch drill bit. It's going to kind of right through all of them. So you're going to keep the shrapnel to a minimum at this point. Just like that, a little bit of brake clean, some compressed air, you've got yourself some 3/8 accepting cylinder heads. Boy, John, probably should have done that before you put the valve springs in. Yeah, I know. Everybody told me they weren't going to fit. They don't. So, little words of advice here. If you're going to do this for yourself, if you think I need some big burly push rods in my life like these ones, just drill them beforehand. It's a lot easier. I always felt this channel needed the obligatory unboxing of just one part. So, we got one part from Competition Products, because it's the only place that had it. You know, you guys are like, well, here's links to everywhere else you could have got it from. PowerBond Dampener. So I have an ATI, but Brian runs the PowerBond with wild success so far. The only success you can really judge is that it hasn't flown off and went through the hood. So for Matt's truck, with Corvette spacing, because it's the tightest spacing, and there it is. PowerBond Corvette spacing SFI spec 18.1 dampener. Nothing super impressive, just a dampener for some, it's got ribs for the belts and such. So hopefully we can make an alternator work with this thing still. There it is. If you're wondering how much it is, it's $200. So when I did Matt's heads, I just blast them apart and I didn't take any video or anything. And sometimes I think this stuff's kind of mundane and nobody cares, but there might be a few guys out there that maybe haven't done it before. I had never done it up until recently, so this is just be a quick walkthrough on a set of heads, just disassembling them, cleaning them, reassembling them with some new parts. These are Brian's heads. They're 799's. So they're pretty well in their junkyard form right now. They're untouched. This is just how they came off the motor. We don't know where they came from exactly, but they are 799 head. So for Brian's application, right now, at least he says at the moment, he's not going big boost with it. So it's gonna get a set of Pack 1218s, some new valve seals. We'll probably clean up the valves a little bit, clean up the head, and reassemble it. So we're gonna knock it apart right now. You don't need a whole lot to do this. You really don't even need any experience. I got this, I got it off Amazon last year when we put my motor together. It's not like the nicest one, it's not the cheapest one, it's like a middle ground one. I think I paid like 70 bucks, and so far I've done like 3 sets of heads with it, and it's worked out pretty good. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically you just drop it on, and this is obviously for an LS cylinder head. You got your 2 set screws just to kind of hold the bracket in place. This is just this is what actually does the compressing, this nut and bolt here. So you want to start with it kind of in a little ways here because you're going to use it up as you start to compress. Now this is where we get into the rowdy part. If you're really detailed, you want to do this right, you could, you know, put like your Allen wrench in here and grab an open box or grab a standard wrench and turn it real nice and watch it. We're not quite that sophisticated, so we've just got the impact here. So, and that's what all you need. And you can already see that the keepers popped out. Grab your trusty little magnet tool. They'll come out. Okay, so now the valve is free from the retainer now. Call these like your keepers. Just 2 of those on each one, and then you've got your retainer plate here. So the valve is free in a sense. We just have to unload this. So now the pressure's off, and you can take your tool off. And your valves are free. Obviously your valve seals here. These will get replaced. I know some people don't replace them, but it seems kind of foolish. They're $17 as long as you're in here. You might as well make sure it's not smoking like a choo-choo train going down the track. So these ones definitely junkyard finds. They're pretty crusty. Believe it or not, I think Matt's might have started off worse than these. You can see the seats. If you look back on that video we did on Matt's, we did like a quick lap on the seats to clean it up. The intake always looks good. The exhaust gets a little banged up. Let's try to get like a better look at it and see how bad they are. So they could be worse. There's less pinion in these than the last set I did. So we'll clean these up. If they all look like this, we probably won't lap them. You gotta remember, the seat is like a pretty narrow window here. You see where it's really shiny right here. That's where it actually seats. That's what we're really worried about. Down in here, this is just byproduct of the chamber. So we'll clean these up, and we'll put them back together with some of the hardware. So we got all the springs and retainers and keepers out. So I just got the valve seals. We did knock all the valves out. Got them in order over here. Once you get the seals, I just use the pliers. If I can see straight through camera, and they just come right out. Can't forget the spark plugs. Can't forget about your final step on every LS head. Well, heat and vice grip, and pretty well in business. Very slowly. Very slowly. Because what happens here is if you don't take your time and you just go whipping around out of there like a wild man, you break them off, and Brian gets super pissed because he's got to go out the TIG welder and sit here and fiddle with them for an hour. And these are Brian's, and the only thing that's going to make Brian real unhappy is if I break the bolts off in his own head. So we're just going to take our time, move her back and forth a little bit, make sure it's nice and free. We'll get where we're going. Just like that. 2 extracted. So they're completely stripped down now except guides. If you replace the guides, we probably don't talk because you're just in a different world than I am. So we'll load them up, take them over to the old Pay and Spray, the home of the $1 car wash. Hopefully they're not watching this because then they'll figure out I'm the guy with the grease. But we'll take them over, we'll spray them down, scrub them up. They'll look like brand new. So then after you get back from the car wash and spend a little time with some Scotch-Brite, razor blade, a little brake clean, pretty well ready to go back together. I'll clean them up one more time, but they'll be out in the garage here for a couple days getting hit with debris and such. So we'll leave them for now, but one final clean before they go together. One of the downsides to my videos is they take course over multiple days, and I put everything together. I forgot to video all of it, so it happened. All right, I'm sorry. Go on YouTube, search how to put a head together, you'll figure it out. We do have something extra thrilling today. We have another unveiling, maybe two. We'll start with one, we'll go from there. The Fairmont motor. Lots of speculation. Nobody really knows what's happening until right now. Dun 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 dun. Gotcha, another LS motor. This isn't your normal no-name race car motor though. Trailblazer intake. Nice and clean. Trailblazer intake. LS3 coils. Some fancy cadoodle bracketry Brian made because he's got to have power steering and air conditioning and stuff, whatever. Other than that, it's just your typical Napa rebuild. Some of the finest head clamping devices you can come up with. Stock valve covers. Does have the typical knockoff oil pan on it though, like everything else around here. Some ICT billet mounts. So that one's ready to rip right into this gigantic hole. You may have caught in the background, there's a second motor that's ready to go too, and that's Matt's. This one needs more introduction. We've named this one WarBird-1. Not to be confused with Warhorse-1, completely different. We have Warhorses, Matt has Warbirds. That's how we'll keep track. This is number one, there will probably be plenty more. Okay, so if you can't remember what's in here because you bailed on the video where I explain all the parts of Matt's truck because it was pretty awful and terribly long, here we go again. War 105 throttle body, Holley high ram, Holley EFI rails, Bosch 210 injectors, Motion Raceworks valve covers, 799 heads, IWIS timing chain, PowerBond SFI dampener, Moroso oil pan, L33 aluminum block, ARP head studs, Brian Tooley springs, Brian Tooley cam. There it is. There you go. There you go. You're all caught up on the happenings. So now let's put them where they belong. There it is. It's in. Try to come out one more time for some cleanup. A little bit of paint in the engine bay. She's a little crusty. Big red blob. Matt sees it in every picture and it drives him insane. So we'll get rid of that when the motor comes back out. But I think that's enough for now. This video's dragged on far too long. I didn't get the Fairmont motor in, but Brian will probably be here in the next couple of days and we'll stuff that one in, and then we can start building like turbo kits and cool stuff like that.